Earth Hour resonates with my values of being responsible for nature. It is vital for me to ensure a green and great Mother Earth for all generations. I'm inspired to support the movement because I see the impact it has on individuals all around the world. With my 10 million tree planting project adding more impact to it. Earth Hour is important because it allows us to work towards achieving better resources for nature. Tourism and agriculture are the backbones for Tanzania's economy, and they're also nature-based. So if we don't stop climate change now, these sectors will collapse. I believe in the power of unity and that the climate crisis is a matter of urgency.
And good morning. Oh my goodness, this is GW3Live. I'm Renee Knorr. So excited to be here with you all this morning for our not only Motivational Monday, but also Mastering Mondays. We know how important it is for us to do that. We kicked off this week not only reading one phenomenal book, Black Fortunes, but we're also so excited that we have a genius that's going to be joining us for this week's episode of Mastering Mondays. Not only from the blueprint for productivity, but also understanding that peak performance. And we know all of that really starts right in the mindset. So I'm looking so forward to having the man himself, Mr. David Strauss, is going to be with us, coach, life strategist, alongside with ghostwriter. Oh my goodness. And the book, we're going to be talking about his book as well. So hold on to your seats. We'll be right back after this quick announcement.
I'm Renee Knorr, model, creative director, founder of Global Women Wealth Warriors, Wellness Hub, and GW3 Magazine. I dedicated my life and devoted my career into helping women and girls to achieving their goals. I've been passionate about empowering women and enriching men. This opportunity in working with the Global Women Wealth Warriors have afforded me the pleasure of traveling outside of the country to be a support unit, most importantly, to help impact and change lives. Our ultimate purpose is to help others to become whole from finance, spiritual, mental, as well as physical. We know there are challenges and obstacles to get you to the next level. However, it's time for you to level up, boss up, and welcome to Power to Soar.
And we are back. Oh my goodness, guys. Go ahead and put some black and white hearts in the chat. Today we got a special guest that's joining us, and I'm so incredibly thankful to Miss Veronica Atkins for introducing the man that you're going to get an opportunity to meet. Not only is David, as I share with you guys, he's an author, He's truly a giant when it comes down to life strategist. He's a ghostwriter, but one of the greatest appreciations I love about David, he knows how to get in there when it's needed, so therefore we can shift that mindset. So without further ado, guys, let's man himself, Mr. David Strauss. How are you doing this morning?
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak to your community and be of service. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, so welcome. Well, I share this with you because we both share that community with the Breakfast with Champions. And congratulations for being able to be with us for, I guess, for 8 months. But we've never been able to connect with each other because our schedules have been totally opposite. So let's give it up again for our very own Veronica Atkins for bringing this synergy to the table. And I'm so honored to have you here this morning. Before we go into our conversation, David, go ahead on and introduce yourself to our viewers so everyone know who you are.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be here again. What brings me here is a really interesting experience I had. I live over in Colorado. And back in 2008, when the markets had crashed, I went on a little walkabout to find a new sense of purpose for my life. I went to New Mexico to visit some ancient ruins. And when I was hiking, I was hit in the head by a falling rock and faced the possibility of my own death. And it took me 5 years to really get back to my baseline. And that journey of recovery forced me to look in the mirror of my own life and kind of reinvent who I am and rediscover my sense of purpose. And God gave me a second chance at life. And so I have utilized that experience as a way to impact other people's lives through the lessons I have learned. And that's why I'm here, because I got a second chance.
Wow, David. You're so humble as well. And guys, please, let's put up 2 extra hearts in the chat because David received that second chance. That's something that's so powerful. I would say you and Glenn Lundy also share a similar story as well, because he wanted to commit suicide, unfortunately. However, he got that second chance. I think in the chat right now, guys, if you know other people that received that second chance, let's go ahead on and put their names in, because if it wasn't because of you receiving that second chance, we wouldn't have the honor to have you here with us right now. So thank you again for being here. David, not only I know viewers are like, I've seen him on ABC, I've seen him on CBS, I've seen him on Fox. You've just been all over the world, being able to not only pour in, you've been able to help others to find their ways as well. Can you share with the viewers, how does that make you feel? You are literally living your purpose right now. How does that make you feel, being able to have that power to have that? You've had a transformational journey, but now being able to help others to find their ways as well.
No, the feeling is amazing, but it's also, it's not something that I chose. It was something that God chose for me, and I just decided to listen for the first time in my life. So the day that rock hit me in the head, I was ready for change in my life. There was a lot of negative conversations going on in my mind, and I was not paying attention. And the signs were there. And I mean, if I was in the city that day, a piano would have landed on my head if I was walking on the sidewalk. I mean, I was ripe for change, and it just took a really big emotional experience to get that leverage for me to change. So I feel really grateful, but it's also interesting to realize that how stuck I was in my story, and it took that much leverage to get me out of that story. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. It would be the feeling.
Well, thank you for that insight, David. We see on these Instagrams how some people, they just miss, like you said, either something falling on their heads or being hit by a car just by that split second. And, even the movie with Benjamin Buttons, if you recall, as he were growing up, he had a huge love for his dear friend. I can't think of her name right now, but we know she had an accident. And with that accident, and it literally took the story all the way back. What if the guy who woke up, if he didn't wake up late, if he woke up on time? And what if the taxi driver would not have been able to, everything happens in timing. We know that, right? And we know it's also about God's timing. And like you said, intricately how we also receive it and how we respond to it. And you're responding with so much positive energy. So share this with me, David. I know a lot of people currently may be dealing with some life trauma from when they were younger. Share with us in regard to if you had to experience something when you were growing up as well, to be able to bring you to this point of where you are.
Yeah, so my story has a lot of interesting roots. I was a runaway at the age of 15. So my mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor when I was pretty young, and she had surgery to remove the tumor, and then they gave her radiation therapy to stop the growth of the tumor. And during that procedure, they actually fried her brain, and she went into a coma and died. And my entire family fell apart. I just didn't feel like I belonged. No one was listening to me. And so I ended up running away from home, and I never went back. And I put myself through high school. I put myself through college. And so I've been on this journey of self-development for a long time. But one of the, my mother's death was very difficult. But what added to that was the summer that I graduated from high school when I was 18 years old. I was at a party at a friend's house. We were all celebrating being graduated, and it was summertime. We were having a really good time, partying, having a nice time. And one of my friends at the time spiked my drink with grain alcohol, and I passed out and I was raped. And from that day forward, I spent up until 2008 when I was hit in the head by the rock. The primary emotion that I lived in was shame. I felt ugly for over 25 years, and it really affected a lot of my self-confidence and my relationships. And as you can imagine, when you have that type of experience, you become afraid of love and intimacy. And so I was looking for love in all the wrong places, and never found it. And until I looked in my heart, I learned that the longest distance that we will ever travel is from our head to our heart. And what I mean by that is we'll look all over the world. We'll look for people, substances, shopping, all types of things. We'll look for that feeling of belonging and significance, but we're not going to ever find it until we go from our head to our heart. And that journey from our head to our heart is the journey of forgiveness. And it is also the journey of gratitude. So if you're struggling with that, then the only thing you can do is change your story about it. And that's what I did. Was I just decided that I'm not the only one that had that problem, and I'd rather help other people move away from it than just get absorbed in my own emotions.
Amazing. You know, David, not only is that heart of gratitude, we talk about that gratitude, having gratitude for the moments that we had to go through from a trauma, and also having gratitude for being able to recognize that you went through the trauma. I think that's the becoming for a lot, and being able to have that clear identity. So I want to definitely not only applaud you guys, definitely put more hearts in the chat, because David, you've done something that's remarkable. Not only did you take the your life experience, but you have now been able to help people along the way with their life journey. One of the things that we were able to do, David, with the Global Women Wealth Force GW3 Society, last, I guess it was now almost 2 years, David, we opened up the doors for men,
Oh, great.
because you shared something, just what they were experiencing. Some of them have experienced being raped. Some of them have been experienced with just having tough challenges with their family, even with their fathers. And from the Global Women Wealth Force, we changed it to the GW3 Society, so therefore we can welcome men, so we could have that arm of being able to support not only just the women, but also with the women, because we have to be whole. Now, you've done something that's also remarkable, David. Not only you're an acclaimed author, you really help others to guide themselves through just even having the Dancing with the Vampires. That's the name of your book. And when you think about Dancing with the Vampires, first you got to tell me how you came up with the title. Okay, I really want to know that, because I'm like, coming from New Orleans, Louisiana, the movie, of course, with Brad Pitt alongside with, what's his name? Oh God, I can't even think of the other gentleman's name. The vampire movie, literally, that was like right in my home. And that movie, it was kind of scary, David. It really was. Even when you think about a vampire, I think about a vampire draining you, right? Sucking the blood out of you. So I really want to understand, and I'm sure our viewers would like to know what inspired you to come up with that title. But also it talks about unleashing our full potential. So please, expand on, this amazing book, Dancing with Vampire.
Yeah, so yeah, that book I actually wrote because it was part of my healing journey when I was recovering from my injury. And the energy vampires, which is really what the book is about, vampires are a great analogy, like you just mentioned, for having the energy sucked out of us. But so often we think of that like traditional vampires take your blood, but really, we have people in our lives that suck the energy out of us. We have situations in our life that suck the energy out of us. And I just thought it was a really great analogy that every day of our lives we are dancing with vampires. We are always playing hide and go seek with our heart and with our faith. And sometimes we feel really, really great, and then other times we really feel like we get down because of the people in our lives. A lot of people are in toxic relationships right now. They're dating narcissists or they're married to narcissists. But we also have what I call the inner vampire, which is our conversation with ourselves, our negative thoughts and beliefs, and our self-deprecating thoughts and behaviors. And when I wrote that book, what I was really doing in my own life at that point in time was I was cleaning up my relationship with myself. I believe our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we'll ever have, next to our relationship with God. And those are two, they're both intimately connected. But I realized that we're always dancing with this negativity in our lives. And until we start leading the dance, the vampires will lead us. So if you think when you're dancing with a dance partner, one person always has to lead the dance. And for so many of us, the darkness is leading the dance. And I believe that we have to start taking responsibility for our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and the people we surround ourselves with. And that way we can start leading the dance. And so it was just a really fun analogy. It landed really well because people understand that the relationships in our lives mean everything.
My goodness, you just poured so many great points of us having that personal growth first, understanding where we are in our journey in order for us to be able to just really move forward. What one of the great books we just finished reading, David, which was by Mr. John C. Maxwell, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And I share with you, it was a personal moment that turned into the entire community, because we are readers with the GW3 Society. We all needed it as well. And it was just that transformation of being able to forgive yourself. Even if someone have hurt you, you got to still forgive yourself for allowing that hurt to come in, and then being able to forgive others as well along that journey. I think that's a healing within itself. And how you really talk about that, safeguarding our energy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely vamping those vampires out. I don't even know if that's the way we can say it. I gotta vamp the vampires out.
Well, I believe that the most important decision we'll ever make is the people we choose to associate with. And the first step to dealing with the energy vampires in your life is really like taking inventory of the people in your life. And some people, family, it's hard to step away from them, although sometimes we have to. But it's really, you have to define what your inner circle is, the people that are closest to you, because those are the ones that have the biggest effect on us. And make sure those people are high value people that are helping you elevate your life experience. And then we have the people, peripheral people, friends and acquaintances, but we really even need to improve the quality of that circle of friends and acquaintances. Make sure they're high value people. It doesn't mean you move everybody out of your life, but you do have to be really intentional about who you allow in your life. And when it comes to forgiveness, I believe in 100% personal responsibility for everything that happens in my life. And so my new definition of forgiveness is a little bit different. I believe that I do not believe in blaming anyone for anything. Even when people do harmful things to us, we are responsible for the meaning we give those experiences. And so what I've decided is, if I need to forgive somebody, it means I'm blaming them. And I no longer blame people. So what I do is I forgive myself for allowing that experience to define me. And so I don't feel like I need to forgive anyone anymore because I'm not blaming them anymore. I moved past the blame, And I've learned to just accept responsibility. Again, it doesn't mean we have control over everything that happens to us, but we do have control over the meaning of those experiences. And you release a huge burden when you stop blaming. I mean, that was it. I lived during those years after I was sexually assaulted up until the rock hit me in the head. I had so much blame in me and resentment and anger and fear. And when you let that stuff go, those are all vampires. All those negative emotions are energy vampires. When you're blaming people, that's a vampire. When you feel down, that's a vampire. And that's why forgiveness is so important. Forgiveness is really just rewriting your story. It's changing the meaning of that experience. It doesn't mean you forget the experience. It means you change the meaning of that experience.
Yes. You probably thought when those things that was happening, it was something that you were attracting, or you thought that you were doing something. Unfortunately, we just lost one of our dear sisters, Dr. Emerald Lynn, and you know, suicide is never an easy thing to talk about. I also, my brother, he committed suicide as well. He took his life, and unfortunately, in the moment, two other people were also lives were taken. So, you know, in those moments of just happening, you know, I know it has to be so tough for so many, especially because we're dealing with so many different crises in the world. And it's that huge, probably even a fear mechanism that's holding us back as well from so many different things. What would you recommend? I know you were sharing with us some of those frequencies alongside with making sure that you're in the right proximity of individuals that can really support you.
Yeah.
Share with us, what is it that you do, if you don't mind? What is
Yeah.
your daily routine? We would love to know, because you've gone through so much trauma. And the beautiful thing about it, and I gather all of our viewers will agree, your energy is just amazing. It's so calming, and it's so, well received instead of being angry. So please share with us, what are your your routine, if you don't mind,
Well,
please.
yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I believe the calming force in my life is something that I learned from Tony Robbins and I have implemented in my life. And that is, I believe that our conversation with ourselves really determines our relationship with ourselves. And specifically, it's the questions we ask ourselves. So, most of us believe that uh, emotions are feelings, but emotions are really a byproduct of what we're focusing on. And what we're focusing on is what the questions we're asking ourselves. So my daily routine always is built around what's great about this moment? What can I be grateful for? For so much of my life, I mentioned earlier, I lived in shame, but I was asking myself the wrong questions. Like I was always asking myself, what do I need to do to fit in? What do I need to do to be loved and accepted? What do I need to do to, for people to like me? And and those were the wrong questions. The problem all of my emotions were externally based. I was relying on other people to make me feel loved. And what I finally learned through what I learned from Tony Robbins was that I needed to ask myself a better question. What is beautiful about myself? Instead of what do I need to do to fit in, who do I need to become so that I can stand out? So my daily, habits include really looking at the questions I'm asking myself, the conversation with myself, but I also believe in health and wellness, getting proper exercise every day, water, journaling. These are things that I do regularly. But really, most of us grow up in an environment where we were taught, like in school, if you were having problems with math, we would think to ourselves, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? Why am I so stupid? And the way the mind works is any question you ask it, it's going to look for an answer. And so we have what are called negative questions. And I talk about this in Dancing with Vampires. Those are examples like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so stupid? How come no one loves me? How come no one wants to date me? Why do I always attract abusive partners? These are all negative questions. And any question you ask yourself, your subconscious mind is going to look for an answer. It's like you put on filters, you put on glasses with filters, and whatever question you ask yourself, you can only see the answer to that question. So the opposite side of that is asking yourself positive questions. So if you're having trouble with math, for example, how can I figure this out? Who can teach me? What are my resources? Is there a different way that I can learn? So the questions we ask ourselves determine the conversation we're having with ourselves. And so my daily routine each day is really, when I start my day, I have a series of questions that I ask myself that get me focused on what is really useful and beautiful about me and my resources and my blessings. How can I continue to bless others through my life experience? So my routine, in addition to the physical, is really paying attention to the conversation with myself and asking myself positive, empowering questions so my mind can do what it does best, which is look for answers. And I want it to find answers to the right questions, not the wrong questions.
Ooh, David, that was so good. Ooh, that was so good. Guys, please put some hearts up in the chat because, ooh, that was just right where we needed to have that. We have to realize we have to keep on going internally, right? We have to seek those right questions to ask. And I'll share this with you too. We're doing this exercise of writing more, writing more. I love Tony Robbins. Let me just say this. I absolutely love Tony Robbins. I do. During COVID, Tony Robbins and the team came on board. They sponsored our summit, David, and
Wow.
talking about amazing. One day I'm going to go over there and walk a fire with him. Just one day. But what you just said was just right on point. If you guys are not only receiving this invaluable insights from David, please put some red hearts up, put some black hearts up, and put some white hearts up, because we're all in this space, David, that we are literally striving, to thrive in today's dynamic world. We're all just in that space. And one of the things that we've been doing as well, because as I share with you, for this month alone, we're grateful to now be reading the book Black Fortunes. We just finished wrapping up with Mr. John C. Maxwell. In the Black Fortunes book, this is one of those hidden gems because I didn't even know it existed, David. And a lot of people are reading it for the very first time, this book right here. Our first time reading it, we were dealing with COVID. And I said, well, we're going to start reading, guys. And this particular book is a story about the first 6 millionaires back in the day. Of course, in the 1700s, they survived slavery. But not only did they survive slavery, they became our first millionaires. And so when you think about how they had to really guard their mindset, how they even had to really get a grip of their daily routines, like what you just shared with us, your daily routines, it had to be, not only have you been able to break barriers, even for yourself, but you've also been able to find that grace, God's grace within you. Like I said, you got such a calming spirit about you. And I just think about the resilience that you had to go through because you had to fight again with just getting to this point in your journey. You had to go through those moments of even having faith to
Yeah.
believe that you could literally get on the other side. So many people don't even see that. And it's very, very admirable that you've been able to do it. Again, as I share with you, uh, we know the numbers with suicide rates are over 500,000. This is like from 2011 to 2022. And so being able to find your way back to your very own happiness, to your very own peace of mind, to your very own knowing that you belong, because a lot of people don't even feel as if that they belong in this world today. So share with us, David. I know first, I know if everyone want to read David's book, his most recent book, well, I think we need to read this one about the vampires, Dancing with the Vampires. And then, of course, David, you have several other books that we should definitely include in our book club. We're going to make sure that not only those in the clubhouse have have the link, but also those that's watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook. But share with us, David, in regarding to how is it that you just keep not only your vitality up, you keep this energy about you that's still calming, but it's so also it's very insightful. who are some of your mentors? I would love to know who have been able to mentor you outside of Tony Robbins.
Well, for sure, Bob Proctor was very instrumental during
Ooh,
my recovery. He was actually, I went to see him live during my recovery, and that inspired me to write my first book, Footsteps After the Fall. My current mentor is actually Sharon Lecter, and she has been instrumental in really helping give my story a voice and building my energy vampire brand. She's really standing behind and helping me, realize the value of the concept of cleaning up relationships. But I'm a ferocious reader. I will consume any type of inspirational content because, one of the things I learned just through this whole healing journey is so many of us get caught up in the question of what do I need to do to become successful? And that's the wrong question. And the correct question is, who do I need to become? And so if you know who you want to become, then you can make your to-do list. But if you focus on your to-do list, you'll never become because you don't have a target. And so I'm just so inspired by all these people that are doing so much in the world and having an impact. And I feel like I'm just getting started. And so I'm really motivated by the contribution that other people are making. And I surround myself with giants because that keeps me motivated. That really, really does. I think you really have to decide who you want to become. And the person that you see right now and you hear right now is not the same person that I was when I was raped, after when I was graduated, when I was hit in the head by a rock. I decided who I wanted to become. And I think one of the things that keeps me going is I never want to go back to being that person. You know.
Oh my goodness. I just want to hug you. I'm going to give you a hug right now, David. I'm giving you a hug. Of course, when you mentioned Bob Proctor, it gave me chills because I had the opportunity of also having him to lecture to us. What a giant. Oh my goodness. Just a gem all the way through. And then, of course, with Sharon Lecture, that's another one, check mark. We've been able to read both of her books now, Think and Grow Rich for Women, alongside with Exit Rich. And I had the pleasure of meeting her in Miami. And what a gem as well. So not only am I grateful that you're on this journey, I'm happy that we could be on this journey together. Thanks
Yes.
again to Veronica, because you just never know. We read the book Becoming by Michelle Obama. And indeed, what you said was just like another check mark. It's not even about the money. It's about who you're going to impact. It's about whose lives are you going to change? And I'll share this with you. That's when my journey truly started becoming not about me. It was always about, well, God, what else would you like for me to do today? I literally started changing my verbiage. And David, everything I do now is through Almighty God. And I'll share this with you. Not everybody's ready to take on different types of roles in their lives, but you have to know it deep down in your soul. And I'm happy to hear that you are ready. David, we have some incredible trips that's lined up for us this year. And the word for the entire team is not only expansion, but also impact. And we're preparing for our second I Am Impact conference that's going to take place on March 24th, right in the Atlanta area. I think we're going to have to try to pull you in because we would love to have you be a part of that, as long as your schedule permits. And I just want to say we're grateful to also recognize you because you truly was one of those 100 most influential leaders to watch out for. So not only we're grateful to have you here, your story alone, I'm just happy that you've been able to get on the other side. I'm happy that you see yourself, and God already know the work that you're getting ready to do. Oh my goodness, more explosive than what it was before. Share with us, David, what is your word for 2024? What is your word?
My word for is expansion. It really is.
Hey! And
Yeah.
tell us why. Tell us why.
Well, these past 8 months or so on Clubhouse was the first time I really put myself out there publicly with my full story of my life. And, what I did was I let go of all the self-judgment that came around my story, and I just started sharing it, openly from my heart. And the response has been incredible. Like Veronica, who, brought me to this stage today through you, she's a perfect example of why I'm here. It's because there's so many people out there that are suffering in silence right now, and they just want permission to grow, and they just want to know that they're not alone in their story. And what I've realized is that when I share my story openly, I'm giving people other permission to start healing, because I used to suffer in silence for years. That's why I write so many books and I help other people write their own books, because a lot of people, when they're suffering, they're going to go to a book first because that's a safe way to look for answers. And so I believe in reading so much, because reading not only inspires you, but it helps you recover and learn and grow in silence. And so for me, expansion is more about recognizing that I was given a gift, a second chance at life, and there's people that are ready to receive that gift. One of the most interesting thoughts that I had about a couple of years ago was about prayer. And I was thinking about like the day that I was hiking when I was hit in the head by that rock. I was, the markets had crashed and I was looking for a new sense of purpose. And again, it comes down to the questions we ask ourselves. And I had mentioned that no matter where I was that day, I would have been injured. But what we don't realize is, like, when we pray for wisdom, we think we're going to get like this little drop of wisdom in our brain and we're going to start thinking clearly. But really, the way my understanding of prayer is that if you pray for wisdom, God will send you problems, because you gain wisdom by solving problems. If you pray for prosperity, God might send you some problems to help you navigate away from your current lack mindset. So oftentimes when we pray for something, we first get the opposite, because that opposite experience breaks the habit that we're in, and then helps us to really get focused and to get clear about what we want to do. So for me, expansion this year is really helping people understand that when you're in the muck of it all these problems, you're probably getting a prayer answered. And with Dr. Emerald Lynn, unfortunately, she did, take her own life. But that's an example of sometimes we get so caught up in our negative questions. What's wrong with me? How come I can't make this work? That we can't expand. So our conversation with ourselves is the most important conversation we will have. And so my expansion really is that I'm ready to scale my trauma.
I love that. Oh, I'm ready to scale my trauma. David, you've been in our room, you've been in our group, not even knowing indirectly that you were. I shared with the team, I had them to ask this question: what if I could ... Then they had to fill in what that ... meant for them. You see, because that helps us to keep on not only dreaming, but keep us with that expansion of that mindset, right? Expanding our environment is something that is so important. Even just being able to see ourselves outside. This is a good analogy. We were watching, remember the movie Ghost? Remember the movie Ghost? And how he was able to watch himself outside of himself. That movie, I was like, oh my goodness, so many gems. I'm like, can we just imagine what we look like on the outside? If we could start putting ourselves on the outside, we'll start doing things totally different, David. Totally different. Oh my God. You've given us so much insight. I'm smiling inside. I'm smiling on the outside. And we're just so much value today. Not only is it important for us to seize this opportunity, guys, even where it relates to you amplifying your productivity, start asking yourself those questions. We talked about this also, David. Do you talk to yourself? Because I talk to myself. I'm just letting you know. Do you talk to yourself?
All the time.
I love it. I love it. You see, you got to be a little crazy in order for you to continue on having a really good cultivating more of these, I guess really understanding how we are able to appreciate every journey in our life. And I share this with you in closing. When I took the time to just say, you know what? I am going to learn from each one of my mistakes. I'm going to learn from each one of these obstacles. I'm going to learn. And I just really start looking at life differently. It took me some time though, David. I went into darkness for 3 years. 3 years. I had to heal myself. I had to grow myself. And I had to recommit myself to who I needed to become in order for me to take on this journey that God had destined for me. Because many of us, if we have too many things going on, we can't even see the blessings that's right in front of us. And you have been a huge blessing for us this morning. And I look forward to us having you back on the program, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, in closing, love your word expansion. That's our word as well. As I share with you, we have certain journeys that we're preparing for within the GW3 Society. We'll be traveling to Africa, as it stands right now, 7 different trips, and I'll be preparing to head over to Egypt in the 1st of March, and I'll be traveling with some of our other chairwomen. So I'm going to see if we can get you on one of those trips, David. In August, it's our Power to Soar Leadership Conference, and usually we have it in Atlanta. Well, this year it will be in Nigeria.
Wow.
So definitely going to send you an invitation for that, David.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes. So can you please provide us with some closing words in regarding to, as you're setting yourself up for this 2024, you already know expansion is that power word. The blueprint, not only, to help others to find their greatness, but also to just keep them inspired. Please share with us.
So here's what helps me stay inspired is the word perspective. So I don't think about life in terms of years. I think in terms of summers. So I am at this time, I'm going to turn 59 soon, but let's say I turn 60. The average male lives to about 75 years old. That means if I were 60, that means I only have 15 summers left. And what I know is I do not want to spend a single one of those summers or any of those moments living in my past, feeling badly for myself, or not seeking my potential. And so what I would challenge everyone to do is think about how many summers do you have left, just based on average statistics. How many summers do you have left? And there's something about thinking in terms of summers to me that's more impactful than years. So, my dad lived till 94, so I expect to live a lot longer. But what I realize is that this experience is finite. And if you understand that, you just have to ask yourself, who do I want to become during those remaining summers? And how do I want to be remembered? And that really drives me. A poem I wrote in high school, which was like 100 years ago, is very simple. When you touch a rock, you touch the past. When you touch a flower, you touch the present moment. And when you touch a heart, you touch eternity. And the purpose of my life is to touch the hearts of every single person I meet, whether they're at the grocery store, on stage, or anywhere. That is the purpose of my life. And thank you to both of you and Veronica.
Wait, you got to do that again. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I want to cry. You don't even understand. Please say that last bit one more time, please. For the listeners all the way in the listening lounge, please do it one more time.
When you touch a rock, you touch the past. When you touch a flower, you touch the present moment. When you touch a heart, you touch eternity. And that is the mission of my life.
Oh my goodness. We love you, David Strauss. I'm so, so grateful that you took the time to just spend quality time with us today. They call me the Queen of Hearts. And so I'm not only going to take this opportunity for everyone that's listening, guys. I love flowers. That's something that I just love too. But when you said that eternity journey, It's so powerful. You're so powerful. David, we're coming to wherever you are, and you're coming to Atlanta to be with us really, really soon. Looking forward to not only having you be a part of our tours, our trips, but also save the date for December 14th. That's the Resurgence. Our second annual Resurgence will take place right there at City Hall. We'd
Thank
love to have you also with us in Atlanta,
thank
Georgia.
you. Well, thank
Thank you
you
so
to you and Veronica. You both are beautiful souls, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And of course, thank God for the opportunity to give me a second chance at life and to just be a mirror for everyone. So thank you.
Absolutely. You know, David, we don't do anything without God's presence. Nothing we can do without Him. So I'm so grateful that He did give you that second chance. So, you know what I'll say? We're going to roll our shoulders back, David. We're going to put our heads up. It's time for us to go blaze the universe. Why? Because the world needs another game changer. And that game changer is not only you and I, but those who are watching. YOU. Thank you guys so very much for joining us for this Mastering Monday. We look forward to seeing you on the other side of your greatness. We'll return back into the clubhouse now. Thank you, David.